always the first question, and I have to tell people the same answer on the phone. I can't tell you, and nobody can really tell you just yet. And I'm going to tell you why in just a couple of minutes. First, we're going to talk about fun things we do that people call work. And we're going to talk about why I actually work. Why do I work? Clarence won't let me sleep. He's been attacking my toes in the middle of the night since he came home with us from the pound or whatever it was. This is the second reason why I work. Avery Justice Ewell. This was, I should know my kid's birthday, July 23rd, 2002. Then this is day one in the hospital. Yes, I still had more hair then. And her nickname is Mayhem. This has to be one of my favorite family pictures. Oh, I'm sorry. Coming home, this is when Clarence met Avery. He would actually take baths with her. Was one of the weird things. She would get in the bathtub when she got bigger, in the tub, and he would jump in there. This has to be one of my favorite family pictures. The second reason why I work, Marcus Hendricks Ewell. I call him Chaos. He actually started answering to that name. This is his baby pictures. And this is why we call him Chaos. And thinking back about it, he was actually one of the mellower babies that I've ever met. So they don't really live up to their name, Chaos. As they're little, of course, Dad is asleep in the back. And this is as they got bigger. This is the last year we were in Lake Aloha up in Tahoe. This is what happens when Mom is not home. We play in the mud and party. And this is our last year in Tahoe. And of course, I will not take serious pictures. Other reasons for which I work, I grew up in Hawaii, and I did more surfing than I ever did playing basketball. And I live not too far from this place, so this is 38th and Pleasure Point O'Neill's house is where my daughter and I like to go surfing all the time. This is when we first got our first GoPro, and this little giant chunk of big hair there, I thought this would be bigger. That giant chunk of big hair was my daughter catching her third wave ever.
Nice.
She'll go away to college next year. This is photoshopped hands holding her on the longboard when she was little, and photoshopped out the fingers, but we won't talk about that. Other reasons for which I work on a more serious note. I see things. When you look at this picture, that you can't see very well, what do you see?
Is that a door?
It's a door,
Is it offset?
2 windows, and a cave. This is what the project came on afterwards. Took out the entries, repainted the beams, refloored the house, and just basically made everything white. Where there was an outside deck, this is the stairway that goes down to what was a basement level that wasn't accessible from inside the house. So we took out that. This was going a little too quick. This was the fireplace. We bought this house in 2016 for $865. I actually hand laid these stones on a scaffolding. I painted those beams, and I actually laid that floor myself. So it's not only we do the drawing, we also do the architecture. What do you see in this picture? I saw a master suite. This was the only view in the house that actually looked out towards the canyon. And there was a tiny little bathroom that you couldn't see and no closet. So we turned that into the master bedroom. There was no window looking out to the forest or anything there.
Wow.
Then I saw a master bathroom. Got these doors from a thrift store in Berkeley and actually hand laid those in. It took me longer to restain those doors 4 times than anything else. This was a deck in the backyard that was too dark. Actually, there was a strange little fireplace inside the house, next to the fireplace inside the house. This giant orange thing, so we moved that outside. And that became the single best feature in the entire house. Every night we ate dinner there, and there was a party around this deck every time, around this fireplace every time we came in. Sold it, went in 2.5 years later for almost double of what we paid for it. I also see bigger things. This was a fun project in Mountain View. The family had this property forever. It was their house in the front, and they had a rug cleaning factory in the back. So it was full of chemicals. Hazmat was there. It was a very fun project. We took this and made it a 28-unit building. 8 families. I wanted mixed use, so you have a difference of people who might be in there. 4 affordables, 4 family homes. There were 4 family homes in the back, townhouses, were 3 and 2s. Then the front was, all the main building were 2 and 2s, and all the front were 1-bedroom units. This was the entry court going down to the basement garage. This was the pedestrian court. The Hetch Hetchy runs along here, so they made a giant park belt throughout all of the peninsula where the Hetch Hetchy pipe runs. So that we made that our family entrance. We put a roof deck up on the third level. That's kind of our public entertaining areas, and this is under construction now. So what does an architect actually do? We're going to pause at this program for a second. Pre-programming and design, we're going to talk about this in a second. Schematic design, design development. Pause. Let's go back. This is interesting here. Come back. Stop. Where do you think most projects fail in architecture? Pre-design and programming. You get this wrong, nothing else goes right in the project. When do you establish a budget and talk about how much a project costs? In pre-programming. You set the client's expectation wrong here, the project does not have a chance of success. I measure success not just a matter of are we on time, are we on budget, are you invited to dinner when the project is over? That not only tells, because you can fail in budget and scope, the client's expectations will change, but if you can maintain communication and keep that path open throughout all the changes that are going to happen in a construction project, you'll be invited to dinner when the project is over. This is where more projects fail because people don't put in enough time doing it. What is pre-programming and design? The first phase I call is a zoning analysis. And the reason I'm starting here is for all your friends and family, when we start a project, this is a service that I pretty much do for people for free. For smaller projects, single family projects. Come back. Wrong way, just yet. When you have a piece of land or a house, what can you actually build on it? How big can it be? How tall? What are the building envelope restrictions? Do my neighbors have an input on it? How long is it going to take us to get planning entitlement? The zoning analysis. This is probably the most critical part of the process. There was a project I did with BFHL where a group of doctors was leaving Sutter and to start their own cancer treatment facility. They bought a building in Fremont, bought the building cash, and when time they went and put in the nuclear radiation chamber, whatever they do oncology in, found out from the city that it could never be zoned for medical use. They never had the parking, they never had anything. They lost that $250,000 good faith payment that they put down and had to go property shopping. Somebody failed in the zoning analysis, and that cost that group a year and a half, more importantly, but literally $4 million on that project site that they built. Programming. This is where we define a project budget. You meet with them first. What does the plant want? What is their wish list? What are your dreams? Oops. Come back. Scope of work. What is actually going to be built based on their wish list? And third is what is their expected milestone schedule? When do they think this is going to happen? At this point in time is when you start interviewing builders for local. You've built 4 projects in this zip code about this project scope, about what is your square footage, about how much you're building per square foot. From here, you can establish a budget after this client meeting and after you meet with them the first time. Because you could walk in the house and get the feeling from the owner that they're happy with Home Depot level flat tile. That's one price per square foot. Or you could walk in the house and they have home marble slab floors. That's going to be $800 a square foot to start with. This is where you define the project scope and budget. Who else is going to be on this team? Because an architect doesn't do this by himself. We have engineers, consultants, soil, structure, everybody else who helps us get through this. This will give you your project scope and your project budget and help the owner define what their expectations are and copy set those. As I'm getting a little close on time, this is the fun part of the project, schematic design. This is where literally, I would say 50% of our projects start literally on a napkin sketch in a bar, and from there they evolve into 5 or 6 other things. I'm going to skip ahead because I'm almost running out of time. Design development and construction documents. Design development gets you to the planning department, construction documents get you to the building department, and by this time you should have a type price and a budget already set. We'll skip that for now. And the last thing I'm going to say is, while I see things, why should you never make your architect mad? Before I say that, your clients, for any clients you refer to me to, initial consultation is always free. Oh, that was supposed to happen after. That's why you never make your architect mad. They see things you can't. These were little circles, just a 3-ring circle, but at certain times of day when the sun showed through, it was terrible. Jumping back to the initial consultation, just going to find the zoning and the project scope. That's a free service that I give for everybody who refers to me. And then don't make me mad when you're done. Any questions?